So, welcome to this podcast with me and Rahul. Rahul Srinivasan is a very good friend of mine. I think we met close to 3, 4 months back. Then after a lot of conversations back and forth, a lot of messaging here and there, we've had some fantastic conversations. We met as peer coaches, and then we also have had conversations. And this is yet another conversation where we're doing it unfiltered, raw, and also, it was a long time coming for both of us in terms of this podcast actually happening. So the Chennai floods came in between, and also a lot of very interesting conversations happened for us to come to this point. And the idea with this podcast generally is to bring the personal side of the coach, also part of the overall coaching equations and other stuff. So, what's their journey? What got them to coaching? What their personal journey has been like. So, Rahul, as I have known him, he's part of the ICF Chennai chapter as well, and is one of the wonderful peer coaches that I've met, and also a wonderful human being. So he's a biker, he's a poet, a lot of common things in between, not the biking part, but the poet part. And he's had some interesting life experiences, a very candid, vulnerable, share kind of a person. So I'm very happy, Rahul, that we finally met and this podcast is happening.
Thank you, Sunil. Yes, it's what you said is just like, nostalgic memory collection of the past 3, 4 months of what our interactions. And it was just to that the first time I spoke to you, I could sense that, yes, I'm very comfortable in talking to you and, I can be open. And thanks to your listening and giving me that space and, resonating with wherever you can, that made me feel really, you know, I felt that, yeah, it was very, a humble person and a very uh, person-centric approach that's the connect which I would say. And over the timeline, yes, this has made us more closer, not only with regard to, general coaching conversations, but even then, apart from that, outside is much more, I guess, like you said, poetry,
Yeah.
writing, creativity as such. Yeah.
Mm. So anything else that you would like to tell the audience about yourself? Once that I missed.
uh, about myself in the terms of
If you were to introduce yourself to the audience, how would you do it?
sure, yeah. So I'm Rahul. That's the name I have been given since I was born. I'm happy I've been given that name because son of Gautama Buddha.
Okay.
Yeah. So uh during my younger days I was very mischievous like any child would be, and I used to always have this kind of passion towards mimicking people as a
Mm-hmm.
young kid. So whoever came home, I used to just observe their behaviors, and after they left, I used to mimic them at home. And my parents and family used to be laughing. And whenever I travel, wherever I go, extended family will be like, "Hey, mimic this guy, mimic this girl." So I was very mischievous. And at the age of 2, 2.5, I could by the beat of the silencer, I could name each and every bike, whether it's a Yamaha, Honda, or Enfield, and people were stunned. Like, what? You're just 2 years old, and he's like telling all the names of the bikes. Wonderful. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how my craze of motorcycling came up. My dad at that time had a Bullet, and every time he used to come back from office, I used to run down before he could walk up the stairs, and yeah, sit on the tank and say, "Take me for a round. Only then we can go home." That was good, and school was great. So not much of pressure as to perform in the high 90s and all that. So it was good. I used to be a basketball player in school, represented the state in sport. And college, I was an ex drummer in the college band. And it was only during my college days I picked up writing, and it's still going on.
Wow, mimicry, drumming. I knew of the bike space, but mimicry and drumming was something very new. So, like you had a crazy fan following in college with strong locks and like this bass guitar stuff, and like you had your own band. So, is that a general way of how it was, or it was completely different?
Yeah, it was the same. Like what you said, it was the same. So we all were like, okay, we have. I was used to be a fan of music, and I learned the keyboards first. But then soon I was thinking between guitar and drums, and I was like, wow, the drum kit is awesome. Let me try it. One of my friends had it at his house. So when I went and played, it was like the first time I played it, I could get the beat of a particular song. So from then on, I was like, okay, let me, learn the entire beats and how it is, the musical notes for the drums, how it goes. And then we started a band in college.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was good. So I didn't have like a proper drum kit at home because of, we were like four people and not much of space was there. But I used to go to the studio or my friend's place and play the drums. At home, I had like a simulator kit.
Mm-hmm.
That was good for practicing. And yeah,
Yeah, no, because guitar, I think is it's okay, or like your neighbors won't complain. But if you're a drummer,
yeah,
your neighbors are gonna be like, Rahul, this is not
yeah.
happening.
Yeah, unless your room is soundproofed, that's not going to happen.
Oh yeah. So what are other interesting childhood anecdotes that you can share with us?
Childhood anecdotes. I don't know if you remember this brand of bread called Milka bread.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was there in
I
childhood.
think Milka is a chocolate that I know. It's like a German brand, like this huge ones, but bread, not really.
Yeah, so that there was one guy who used to come in that advertisement, and everyone was saying that I look similar to him. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever people come home, they'll call me, "Hey, Milka boy, how are you?" Yeah,
Uh,
that and anything else in the childhood? Yeah, apart from being the prankster and just a happy-go-lucky, carefree fellow at that point of time. Hmm, pretty much, yeah. I was also like, elder brother who's protective at the same time also. Uh, I'm sorry, protective at the
mm-hmm.
same time also used to make fun of my sister, like pull
Mm-hmm.
her leg, and whenever her friends come home and pull their leg, they'll be like, "Ah, I can't come to your house. Your brother is like teasing me too much."
Nice.
So
No,
the
I think
bond
because
is special with the sibling. It's a very
yeah,
special
because we
kind.
had no phones. I think TV also was not so popular. I think cricket, cartoon. I think those were two major stuff. After that, nothing much. We were the generation I think who got to play a lot
Yeah,
outside rather than play inside.
yeah, absolutely
So
right.
yeah.
There was no internet. I mean, that's the time when internet was starting, but it just
Mm,
still didn't come into our house. We still had that phone with the long
mm,
cord. It was all everyone used to run to pick up the phone when it was an STD
yeah.
or any ringtone as such, any phone which comes in as such. I have to pick it up first. You all had that kind of a thrill in doing that.
Yes, 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 absolutely. Yeah. And I think, yeah, so school holidays to December was like exam, and then holidays. And then I haven't had, like that sort of a chill experience after high school. And after we got into the phone era, I think nothing at all like that how we used to have. So morning 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, start playing. End of the day around 8 o'clock when there's like absolutely you can't see the ball. That's go home.
You know, I was, yeah, there were like some nice, lovely pleasures to have, like memories to have, cherishable memories.
Yes, yes, yes. Hmm. So any other adventures in life that you want to share? I think because there's been a lot of adventures I know of. So
Yeah, adventures as such. I used to like the waters a lot. So in my school, my dad signed up for me to learn swimming.
Hmm.
And the first day when I went, the coach was like, "Not what are you doing here in the shallow side? Come with me to the deep side." I was a bit scared because I was like not even like we were like 3.5 feet, like say first standard. So he was like, "No, you have to come there. You're a big boy. You have to jump." So I said, "Coach, you're the big boy. How can I jump? You jump. I'll see how you jump. I'll go and jump in the shadow." So coach, "Oh, you're very smart. Okay, okay, we'll do that. Come." So I went to the deep side with him. He took me and threw me in the water, in the deep water. And then he jumped later, and then he put his leg. So I was like, why is he putting his leg? I was like trying to come up and doing all that strokes and all that, trying to push myself up. I was worried that I'll get drowned. Then he put his leg. I could see his leg, and I caught on it, and then he pulled me up. And he said, "Ah, this is how you should learn swimming. This is how you will, get over the fear of deep waters." So that happened in early days of school, like the starting of school. And later, after I finished college, we took one catamaran boat here in Chennai with a few other people. Went in the ocean, and that guy stopped in the middle of the ocean, and he said, "You can jump over here," and that was amazing. Like I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
any kind of fear. I could balance myself. The current was also not too high. They were not pushing too much in the middle of the sea. It was a beautiful moment. I just let myself go, and it was really nice to see that. And post which I went to Andaman. So I was like, oh wow, scuba diving is something I wanted to explore. So I went there. I did the course over there, and I'm not certified. I didn't get that. They give you a certification once you finish a 4 day course. I just did it for 2 days. So one day was training. The next day was one day morning dive, one day night dive, and it was blissful. So I went around 25 feet under the ocean, and I could see finding Nemo, the sea anemones,
Mm-hmm.
lionfish, those colorful fish, small I don't know what those fish are called. Like yeah, many things. And night dive was something amazing. Uh, Actually, both were amazing because when you come up, you can see the reflection of the water, the rays, the sun rays in the morning when you go early morning,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and night it is the moon. So the stars you can see are from under the water. You can see the stars and the moon.
Oh, wow.
It was like shaky and very amazing moment.
So you came out and wrote a poem, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did poetry begin for you, Rahul?
Poetry, yeah, that's a nice question, Sunil. So poetry was when I was 18. I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and it was indeed very much hard to accept what had come through because I was never just in my first year of college, first semester to be precise. I was never into like I thought cancer was associated with smoking or drinking because everywhere you go at that time in the cinema halls or even if you go to a department store and you see a cigarette packet, it's put smoking causes cancer. So my knowledge is only that, and I was pretty active, and I didn't know that for an active person who's into sports and also exercising, how could this happen? So upon diagnosis, the doctor said that no, after taking the scan, he came to tell us that it had been inside my head for a while, and it has been dormant. It has not been active. And I asked him, how did he get active? He said, what did you do? So I said, yeah, about 2 weeks back, I went for a concert there. I jumped,
Mm-hmm.
head banged, and all that, and came
Mm-hmm.
back home only at 2 in the morning. And he's like, what? Okay. That's how it got activated because you were like pretty much of rigorous
Head
activity over
moment.
there. And
Mm.
that's how it got activated. And the next day onwards, I started throwing up whatever I ate. So my parents were like, indigestion, you came late, you must have not had something to eat. It continued for around 5 days. So we did tests for jaundice, malaria, typhoid, endoscopy, everything was negative. And that doctor said that, there might be something more. Why don't you take a scan? So it was diagnosed there. It was at the first stage, the growth stage, at the brain stem and spine beginning, and it was malignant. Later, I
Mm-hmm.
came to know that was a word meaning behind malignant because I was never a big reader or not very well versed with the advanced level of words in English. So I came to know that's capable of spreading. So immediately we just reached out to the hospital and had an appointment with the doctor. He said that okay, the first is going to be the surgery. we'll take out the tumor and then radiation therapy and then chemotherapy. It was not the surgery which, was causing a lot of pain, but the radiation therapy and chemotherapy was the one which had actually was like killing me gently. And without, I had to like come to terms with it. I was thinking initially, an 18-year-old guy, he'll be like, why me?
Mm-hmm.
And my family was like, what did you do and all that. I said, nothing. I've been open with you with whatever I do. I don't drink, I don't smoke. So the doctor also said, no, it's not necessarily that you have to, someone has to get cancer only by drinking or smoking. Uh, so I was like, okay, this happened. And I was just looking at the eyes of my mother, father, and younger sister who had no clue of what was going on. And I told them that, yes, we have to go through it. We're all together in this. And, we just have to accept what has happened. That moved me from asking why me to what next. The doctor
Mm-hmm.
had described that already, and I was like, sure, okay, let's go ahead with it. I know there's going to be a lot of pain, there's going to be a lot of loss in terms of weight, in terms of appetite, all that is going to be there. And I have to go ahead, I have to go ahead. And if I don't, it's going to cause even more of a strain in my body and mind. And I don't want that to happen. Rather, it's in the beginning, and if better we take it out and, whatever procedure is there, finish it. So with that mindset, I just went through it. I had to uh, have that mindset of accepting, right? Okay, this has happened to me. It's going to teach me something, and whatever it is, I will learn from it and not complain. So went there. So surgery was successful, and then a month or two later, they started on the radiation therapy. There, I lost about 35 kilos from 75. Came down to 45, and after that, we had some 20 cycles of radiation. It was given a gap because it was too much of infrared heat going into the body. And post which there was chemo cycles, and they had initially prescribed 12, but my body couldn't take more than 6. That's when the hair loss also happened. And what grew back was pretty much like a baby's hair, like a newborn baby's hair. And because of the radiation therapy, the hair follicles behind my ears were killed, so there was no hair growth.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried all that oil, we tried all the Ayurvedic stuff, and I was not at all wanting to do a hair transplant because one of my college friends did it, and he's telling me that even after the transplant, it just head is aching for about like 2 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't want to do anything. They put some pin in your head. Uh, and it was very painful, the process. I've had enough with needles, and I don't want any more needles in my body. And after all this, once I came home, I was just resting for a good number of days. And once I was getting more you know out of the bed, walking slowly. And one day I just sat on my desk and there was a notebook nearby. And I started writing. Then my dad and sister were like, "Where is Rahul?" They came searching. And then they came to the room and they saw, like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm writing my poetry." They said, "What? Poetry? Rahul?" Back there, just a few months back, you used to be reading Tintin, Asterix, Calvin and Hobbes comics, and now you're writing poetry. Are you serious? So I didn't say anything. I was just about to finish. And when I finished it, I shared it with them. And as they read it, there were like tears rolling down their eyes. That was my first poem as such. Even I didn't know that I had that. Uh, I didn't know that it was something there in me. I mean, it had definitely taught me something, going through all this trauma as such traumatic experience and writing it down in a poem. Like, shared it with them and I shared it with family, shared it with friends. They were like all stunned. I remember Rahul used to be like smiling, laughing, keeping others happy, running around here and there, getting out of class, calling himself an outstanding student. And now he's coming to write poetry. What's happened to Rahul? So that started, and from there I wrote about close to about 20 poems I've written now.
Wow.
So yeah, I didn't know that creative side was there, and something had taught me, had changed, I guess. So I took down to writing that now. So that's how poetry started, and yeah, later went on to say, okay, if I'd have to just write it in a notebook, why not I have a blog for that? And I have a blog. I started writing on that and posting it on that, and slowly on also on Facebook, I shared a few poems which I had written later, and that kept going. So whenever I feel like, I used to like write down even small 4 to 5 lines of whatever felt or whatever I experienced or whatever I had seen, and how it can be from the other person's perspective. Whatever, I listen to people when they speak, and with no other distraction like cell phone or anything else, that, and I don't take to anything else. So I think from their perspective about the story they share, and I write it down, and then I share it with them with their permission. They'll be like, wow, you've captured something so much we spoke about nearly for an hour and a half in these 5, 6 lines. Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for listening. So it just caught on, I guess. Then that moved me to uh, creative writing, content writing. I worked with a few people in that space for a while. It was good to be there and share my style of writing, which was much welcomed by them. I didn't want to have a scripted. I told them that I don't like to have a script and follow that. I like the natural flow as such, and I need some time because I think before I write, or I might even change what I write, so that I know it's like uh, according to what I have written, authenticity and original from my side. So,
Mm-hmm.
and when I associate poetry, it's also like motorcycling for me. Like when you write a poem, you go into that deep state of thinking, right? So when you're motorcycling, when I'm motorcycling, I like to just enjoy that ride. Because there's so many things to just watch around, and like nature as such, wherever you go. And obviously you have to be careful on the roads as such, but you just get lost into that transcendence of, it's just lovely. You're just like growing up, and it's just like an enjoyable journey. And at the end of it, once I finish a poem or if I reach a destination, it's like, wow, that was a wonderful experience.
Mm. So you get into the state of flow.
Sorry?
You get into the state of flow.
Yes.
Hmm. I think poetry does that for you. Poetry, I don't know much about writing. My writing experience have always been shotgun or pillion. But yeah, so when there's one point where things switch, and then outside world completely vanishes. At least with poetry, I know the outside world completely vanishes. It's you and only you, and maybe the writing that follows. Hmm. Curious question, Rahul. So what shifted for you post, diagnosis, then the treatment, and then post treatment? For somebody who's a 18-year-old, just about hitting your puberty, coming to college, should have been it would have been a very difficult time.
Yes, Sunil, it indeed was, because the medications and all was pretty strong, and I had to take it up after 6 months as well,
Hmm.
post being discharged. So I did try going back to college, but I was not able to do the physical strength I didn't have, and I was getting very tired and traveling. You know, my college was 30 kilometers from where I stayed, so every day it was not. It was very difficult for me up to a point of time, and I had to take a break, and I took a 1 year break actually,
Mm-hmm.
and then rejoin. So the last semester, I guess last year I had about 24 papers to write, and I finished it all in one shot.
Wow.
Correct. Yeah, so six each from the previous year, and another, 12 this year. the last and the final year for the 2 semesters, 6 subjects.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do that, and I didn't. I was not that kind of a person who used to have like any arrear or something like that. If I pass, I'm happy. That's it. So whatever I could do, I could just like muster the strength and courage, and went ahead and finished that. And then after that, after college, I was like, okay, I finished something which took a lot of time and energy. I want to take some time off again. I had a 6 months break, and that time I was wondering what to do. And that time I enjoyed some travel with family. Uh, I visited Calcutta. That's where I was born, and I still have family there. So I spent time with them. Uh, from there, we went on a short holiday. Spent some time there. Then I visited certain, I would say, spiritual places in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu. Like there's this place called Tiruvannamalai. Ramana Maharishi was,
Yeah.
there, and that's where he got his samadhi. So when they're very peaceful and spent around 3 days there, I wanted to do a meditation course, but pushed that to later. And it just came to me whenever uh, people used to meet me and they're like, how did it happen? And how did you put up to it? And so I would say it happened. I didn't have a choice other than to go ahead with it. And I didn't want to be in the state of a victim and complain
Mm-hmm.
or something, but see it in a broader scope and go ahead, because if I do that, then I'm not going to gain anything. And it's not that in life you always have to look forward for the gain. There is also pain in gain.
Mm-hmm.
And only thing which I was sad about was when I was turning 18, I was going to get my bullet, and that had to be pushed for a while until I got back my health and was physically fit, mentally fit. And 2013, I got it.
Mm-hmm. So which one do you have now? So you have the bullet.
I have the classic 350.
Oh, that
Uh,
that that's a beast.
yeah. So
Uh,
all the motorcycling for me happened when I was in Bangalore for 5 years, from 2014 till 2019. So I joined a club over there, and we used to like I've gone to Goa, been to Hyderabad, I've been to inside Karnataka, like Coorg, Kabini, all those places, Hampi, beautiful places there. So it was wonderful. It was a great experience. And one day I am going to ride to Leh Ladakh, the Mecca of
yeah.
riders. Yeah, that's still in my
Yeah.
bucket list.
Now, when we say Enfield, I think the next thing that comes is, oh, when are you going to Ladakh?
Ah, absolutely.
So I have a cousin who's mad about this. I think he has the latest one. I don't remember the reddish one with the Enfield. So very recently he's taken that, the sleeker model, not the
Right.
classic. Uh, and so I was telling him, if you're ever going and you need a pillion who doesn't know how to ride, I am always coming.
Nice.
So I've had some very interesting adventures, pillion riding and shotgunning basically in the car. So I don't ride. I don't ride. So it's not something that works for me. And yeah, so maybe I didn't sort of know all these other tidbits about you in terms of swimming, all the other interesting aspects. So good to also know about you as the individuals. I know you as the coach, and I think it's also very interesting to know you as an individual as well. But what got you into coaching?
I was actually thinking about getting into the space of training.
Mm-hmm.
But then the more I sat in a training session, I was taking initially, it was like, oh, someone is coming to train me. They must be like a very well experienced person in that industry. And yeah, it was interesting to see those slides, those presentations. They were pretty creative. I like that. I took down the notes. But then only thing which I felt was like, even if I take down the notes, I would after a say a span of 10 days time. This is not to like discriminate or any kind of profession or the trainers as such. I never used to have that pulse or connect to it, even though I had spent some time reading it and the content I used to forget. Then I was thinking, what's happening and what's going on. So at work, when I started managing teams, people who were reporting to me, uh, I never told them what to do. I said that we used to have a huddle in the morning, and
Mm-hmm.
I just used to tell them, so ask them or other tell. I just used to ask them, so what's in your schedule today? How you planned it out? You think you can do it? And before 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. is work time. I don't want you to sit beyond 6 because you have a life to live. So that way it was very transparent and they were like, yeah, sure, I know what to do in the first half. The second half is pretty much of energy level goes down post lunch for many. So like, yeah, between 9 to whatever time, do what's most important or priority for you and plan your day in such a way that you might just have one or two things which is trivial, which can be answered or mailed tomorrow. Then that's where I was then so that went on pretty well and I didn't know about coaching at that point of time and I was just talking to another person and he was like, hey, I'm a life coach. So I was like, what do you mean life coach? I know there's a nutrition coach, I know there's a sports coach. What do you mean life coach? And I know there are people standing near the beach where like lifeguards. Are you something similar? Like, no, 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 not at all. So, like, tell me more about it. I'm curious. And he was like, yeah, this is a space where it's a we partner with people. Like, partner as such, I've heard only like, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, husband, wife, partner. So, how does, in coaching, what do you mean by partner? Like, they're asking so many questions already. So, like, yeah, I want to know. So, I'm curious. You're saying something in coaching that to life coaching. So I was like, okay. Then he like patiently told me that this is going to be coaching is a space where it's safe, supportive environment and no judgments. And uh, one word that uh, he said was autonomy. So like, what do you mean by autonomy? Yeah. So it's not the coach who's going to be talking or telling or advising. It's more about the space for the client. Okay, so you mean that I can talk most of the time and you'll be listening? Yes, he said. And then what are you going to do after listening? Like I'll observe what you're saying, I'll observe, what you're sharing, and I might repeat it with your permission to make sure that we're on the same page so that we don't derail. And then I will ask you certain questions. I was like, okay, interesting. So when can we get on a demo? Like I never knew you'd ask that in the first time because many people will be like, hey, are you going to ask me questions? No, you tell me what to do. Then you're like, when can we get into a demo so that you can have this kind of a conversation? Great. So I will be more than happy to take you through it. And once you took me through it, it was something different. Like there were so many things I spoke and uh, the words he caught, the way he repeated, the way he asked certain challenging questions. Like what? My God, okay, there is so much to it, and it's so powerful. Like it's not like I was looking at him as a friend. He was some other person to me at that point of time in the coaching process or the conversation. So after the conversation ended, I just like uh, went down for a long walk, and I just was thinking about what exactly had happened, like more of a reflection of the conversation. And it was like the coach, he as the coach didn't do much of the work, but the way he had presented himself, asked those questions, giving me that space, that pause, had made me completely uh, feel comfortable to share something very vulnerable, or even if he asked something uncomfortable, I was not hesitant. And I would say there was something magical. And when I look back to the way to when I was working with the team, there's something similar I felt. And I was like, okay, this is something I want to do as a profession as well. And that's how I came into coaching.
Oh, wow. So a life coach, one demo experience can uh, did change the way you looked at life, and your life changed with a life coach.
Yes.
Very, very interesting. So I have very different origin stories, but maybe that's a separate podcast. So now that you had a coaching session with a life coach, you decided to get into coaching. How's it been?
It's been great till now. The people who I've met, uh, it's been amazing. They have like so many inspirational stories as we speak and uh, get into each session. They come with something solid to talk in that particular session, and it's more of a wonderful conversation. And you know, no kind of inhibitions, and they're more than free to tell me like, okay, I don't feel like talking about it, and I like that kind of autonomy which I mentioned earlier. So it's not that you get to say this much when you're either talking to a parent or talking to a friend, or but if someone is listening to you, completely giving you their attention and just listening, so there you feel like, okay, it's a space where I want to do that for a person. Help them in a way that they feel that they're listened, they feel that they are being heard. I felt that nowadays, because of all the tech tech boom and all that, like people are very much uh, how do you say, application oriented. They're like, okay, I have this app or whatever it is, or shopping or fitness or talking or listening to anything. There are apps, but the connect between humans is unfortunately deteriorating.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that, because if human and human don't talk, but you are going to human and machine talk, you're not going to get that same level of reciprocation, emotions, the kind of sharing. So that was what like made me very inclined towards this. And when I started going on my practice as such, which I am, uh, people who I met globally, like yeah, they had some wonderful stories to share. And initially, in like we also questioned each other, why coaching. So from that why to who they are, to what they want to be, the journey is something phenomenal.
Yeah, I think I can second that. In terms of meeting people, the connections, the stories that people bring, and how it leaves you. So
Yeah.
it
So how you
leaves you with an
learn from
impression.
them, and
Mm.
how yeah, basically your life also changes based on certain stories, it's like on
Mm.
challenges.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So, without breaching confidentiality, would you share something that you feel like really stays with you after many coaching conversations?
Uh, what stayed with me with one particular conversation was I had been I was in talks with another person who had some health issues,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like very much hesitant to talk about it. So I said, okay, it's your space, and we don't want to talk. I'm not going to ask, but since you brought up the topic, it's up to you to like take it further or not. And there was about 10 minutes silence, the longest silence in my coaching practice till now. I was also keeping quiet. He was still there on the call. I could see that he had not left it. And then he came and said, "You waited for 10 minutes. How come?" I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, that's what happens, in a coaching conversation. It's about you. I give you the space, and I don't push you. I always ask your permission before doing anything, because it's who you want. It's you who will be talking, and you're going to be, uh, at present who you are right now, and where do you want to go with this conversation, or with whatever topic you have bought, where do you want to reach. So I'm going to partner with you and walk along your journey of self-discovery. I'm not going to question uh, why this or why that, but help you get there immediately. Then he opened up. He's like, I never thought that, someone could do this. And whenever I speak to my parents or family, they always tell me like this is how it is. You have to adjust. And he also took up the therapy, and he had been given some prescription pills and all that. And he wasn't very happy taking them. And he openly asked, are you also going to give me some medication? I was like, no, I'm not a doctor. I'm not qualified. I don't have the license. I can't do that. I won't do that. I'm just here to listen to you. You may feel free because this is a confidential space and it's a safe environment. So it went on over like 1, 2 sessions, and eventually he became a client of mine. So I understood that what coaching had. Initially, I thought you'll have to give solutions to the person who's person you're coaching. And then later, after a few sessions, when I got feedback, open-ended feedback from other people who had coached, they were like pretty direct. Like, why are you telling me what to do? I know what to do. And they used to cut the call. Then that's how I learned that, okay, I should not impose anything. I should just be listening. And after they speak, I can say that I can say what observations or what insights or what awareness has come from me as a coach, but thinking from their perspective.
Hmm. Yeah, very, very, very moving story in terms of the 10-minute silence, because I think even for seasoned coaches, 10 is a lot of space to give. But yeah, like the people that come, there's always reciprocal. So we, uh, even though we coaches, we maintain that neutrality. Their story touches us, and somewhere also the way we share, the presence that we are able to give. And I think even sometimes pre-coaching conversations, even post-coaching conversations after the session that have happened. So we tend to share as humans, and that brings the human element, the touch of connections, which I feel is generally, I think, even beyond coaching. I think we've had that discussion also on LinkedIn,
Hmm.
that our connections that we have with people are going. It's not the same as before. So yeah, really, really interesting to the coaching space. And Rahul, do you have that's a question everybody asks coaches.
Everybody asks coaches a question. Yes. So they are pretty much confused about what coaching is and why must they take up to coaching. But as a coach, I felt that we really can't push a person to take up to coaching. We can definitely tell them what coaching is, how it works, and how is it different from other support professionals like therapy, counseling, consulting, training. You can give them that idea and leave it there. And if they, you can just say that this is how it works, and that's how I've done that. Never pushed anyone towards it, and they ask what it is, I'll tell them. Some people do come back, some people don't. And for those who have come back, they found like a good takeaway uh, on because of this kind of space where there's a lot of exploration, awareness, and you give them that space to think, to reflect, to work on themselves. They're pretty much happy to do the assessments or assignments I give them, and they don't say I don't have time and all that. So before the next call, they were like, "Yeah, I finished it, and this is what I found. Thank you so much for that." And we don't talk about that and talk about them being at the present moment. So what as they come and say that previously I had certain things to work on, and now my mindset towards those have been it's completely changed. The way I look at it, the way I embody it, it's all changed. And only because of that space we give them, they're able to do that. sort of. And even if they say that, will you be able to help me by following up? Great. Again, just check with them like how's it going? We spoke about this last time. How's the progress? And not push it. They said that, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. Like, understand, but just subtly tell them how they have to be accountable and responsible because they are the ones working on themselves to uh, achieve or accomplish what they want to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. So, uh, another question is, no, maybe I think one of the conversations that we had, you also shared that sometimes you also coach people who are fighting cancer, um, moving through that difficult phase in their space with regards to treatments. They don't know whom to contact, whom to get in touch, and sometimes they need a voice that has been through a similar experience.
Yes, Sunil, that's true. So many people who they have this fear of being judged. Like, when I had cancer and a lot of people used to visit and they used to like tell me, "Don't worry, you'll be fine." And they used to give like this Milo for drinking, fruits, and I couldn't have anything at that point of time. So I used to tell my parents that I don't want to be rude. They are coming to see them. I'll not. I don't want to see them, be it at hospital or at home. Uh, and pretty much the same. Quite a few people felt. So when they speak to me, they're really like, "Oh, you've been through this." And as we speak, then one more person who I know, he's based in Noida. He is going through treatment right now. So he's just finished his surgery and chemotherapy, and the cycles are going on. So he's speaking to me, and yeah, just like more of how did you get through this? What did you do? What should I do? I feel dizzy. I feel nauseous. I feel extremely tired. So I just have to like listen to what he says and be there as a support system so that he doesn't feel left out. And on a larger scale, the people who have reached out to me as such felt this. I felt the same. That even though I'm going to do it as a service, and I don't want to be paid for this because I know the intensity of the adversity they're going through, and I don't feel like asking them for money at all. So it's more of this kind of comfort they want. They just want to be listened, and many times they're like being told something or the other by relatives and family. Don't worry, you'll be fine. And I was also asked when I went back to college, I was like 45 kgs, then from 75 to 45. They're like, you've become thin, eat this, eat food, eat that. What people used to say. I was like, just to get irritated first. Then I realized that if I get irritated, it's not going to work well for me. And I just used to gently smile and move on. I never used to say anything. The silence was a response, and a smile was a response. And I never spoke to them again. Like, move away from these people. I don't want them in my life. So I never tell that to others. I never like to tell or suggest. So I share my story, and that helps people connect and resonate. Like, oh yeah, I can understand this has happened. So from now on, I'll do this. That comes from their side. So I can see that once you're being very open and sharing something vulnerable, not just about cancer. Then later also in 2020, I was diagnosed with a sudden sensory neuro hearing loss. From the right ear, I have a pretty severe hearing loss. I have a hearing aid. The left ear is all right. Uh, I don't know how it happened. One day I woke up, I couldn't hear at all. Then we went to the ENT and checked. That's when he said that this is the case, and they gave like I had to be in the hospital for about a week, and every day two injection, one in each ear, to you know uh, how do you say to regenerate the nerves. It so happened that the left came back to a good 20%. The lesser is better, but the right had some severe damage, and they had told me I have to wear a hearing aid. So that was another incident. And so people who have this are not this particular incident or any kind of challenges in health. They're just kind of keeping it bottled up, fearing what society will think of them, what other people will think of them if they go out and speak about it. So only once they do, they will come to understand they are not alone. There are so many people around them, and we can come together as a community to support each other. And it's not about you. Uh, it's happened. It's a part of your life, and if we don't welcome the unexpected, then we can't always, uh, climb the mountain alone. Think about the mountain peak later. Like we need someone to be behind you when you're climbing up the mountain. So one more thing which I can just share is in the aspect of in 2019 I had this phase where I was going through, and I had about six seizures, blackouts. I never knew why it happened. So I just used to like walk out from my room or after my exercise. Suddenly I just fall off. It was not regarding to lifestyle. It was not regarding to food. Everything was healthy. I was maintaining that balance between work and life as well. I never knew why that happened. And at one such incident, they found me lying in a pool of water in the washroom. So, and they pulled me out after that, and I was conscious, but I didn't know what I was doing. They tried to pin me down on the floor. I was like pushing away people, punching them, shouting loudly. Neighbors and all came down, and I, what's going on? And once I calmed down, still I didn't know what was going on. My sister narrated all this to me later. They took me in a car to a hospital, gave me some injection, and brought me back home. And when we checked up with the doctor, they said it was epilepsy. That was in 2019. Uh, Again, the incident, I had it in 2021. So I played, I think, after badminton or basketball, I came back home, went to the washroom to wash my hands and legs before I could have some coffee. And just as I stepped out of the washroom, I was like walking very kind of like in a dancing move, slow dance move. And usually at home, I am like that sometimes. Like, you know, uh, I work for about half an hour, go to a stretch or like make some moves, funny moves. So my dad and sister were like, "Oh, Rahul is usual." And I just fell down before they could catch me. My head hit the floor, and I went. They took me to the hospital again, and we did a scan. They found some internal bleeding was there, and then the doctor. This time we didn't go to the same doctor. So this time we spoke to one of my friend's mom, who's a doctor, and she told me go to this hospital. And that doctor said, no, it's not epilepsy, it is wrongly diagnosed. This condition is called as dural AV fistula, which meant AV is the artery and veins. And all these blackouts happened because the veins were not pumping out the bad blood from the brain, but
Mm-hmm.
instead circulating it inside the brain and creating pressure. And that treatment also was very intense. I had like one catheter each on my thigh and one on each shoulder, and they had to send the drug. They had found the best vein there, I think, or best nerve there to send the drug to the brain. And intense hallucinations. I was not like eating properly. I was not like sleeping properly. Medicine cycle was like every 2 hours. Morning 6, morning 8, 10, 12, again 2, 4, 6. So every day, something or the other used to keep going, and that totally lost my balance. And it took me about 2 months to like get back to standing by myself, get back to doing things by myself. Like everything was like very slow for me to take in initially. My brain had to like be rewired, completely rewired. And slowly and steadily only it works. And thankfully, I was not on any medication
Mhm.
in the first 2 months, and later I was told to take some more medications. Yeah, so everywhere you see, there are people having some kind of uh, I don't know, a health challenge, a personal challenge, and they're not willing to speak because considering how they will be looked at, how whether there'll be fingers pointed, and it's sad because uh, they don't have a space to voice out, and
Mhm.
more and more we keep it within ourselves. It's going to be a spoiler for us. We go into something where negative emotions. The body feels the negative emotions as a whole at first, and only then it goes to your heart or your mind. And more we do that, it's like slowly, sorry to say this, but you're slowly like killing yourself if you don't voice it out. And you don't have this kind of um, reactions. You're suppressing those reactions rather than just telling it out. And what's the worst that can happen? I realized that if I share it, when I shared it, some people were like just listening and saying, okay, that's hard. And glad that you have gone through all this. You've shown up a great stage over there. You fought really well and very hard, and you were very brave, especially when my parents had to do a hard time too. My dad was running behind the doctor. My mom was running behind the insurance people, health insurance people. So, and some people were like, yeah, it's happened now. You can lead a normal life. Never do they know how the person is actually feeling after going through all these incidences. And even though if you're smiling, they're like, yeah, no, you're smiling, so there's no pain. So what do you want me to do? I'm not a product over here. You can't put some kind of a command. Rahul smile, Rahul don't smile, Rahul feel sad, Rahul cry, Rahul be happy. Like, leave me alone. To those genuine souls who were there connecting with me and a support system for my mother and father and sister, I speak only with them. Other people who were like, don't worry, everything will happen, part of life. And I was like, what are you trying to say? Like, I've been through something. It's just not me. The entire family has faced it, and they're the ones who have given so much of time and support to me. And how can you just say that? So uh, it is like pretty much of a roller coaster ride, I would say, and I just have to build that kind of. I want to work on building that kind of community where people can share freely and not be afraid that you know uh, someone is going to judge me, someone is going to tell me what to do, someone is going to advise me, suggest. Just accept me for who I am and listen to what I have been through. My feelings matter to me, my emotions matter to me. If I don't share it with you, who else can I go to? Where else can I go? And sadly, more often than not, that leads to a lot of anxiety, depression, and all other things which they may not know about. They're welcoming unwantedly. And once you speak about it, and it took me a lot of time to muster that courage, Sunil, to be honest, because I too felt scared. Like, having gone through so much, will people actually, be wanting to spend time with me? It happened in terms of relationships as well. Like when I was meeting a few women, when I was talking to them, initially I won't say this, but after 3 or 4 meetings where we are more comfortable, I say that, hey, I just need to be open about something. I don't want to hide anything. And the decision is up to you to take. And they were like thinking, like, oh my God, we've got so many things. And some people were like pretty much, supportive. And some got scared listening to the term of medication, of all the battles they have fought. And they were like, oh, I don't know what to do when it happens next. They go into that kind of a thinking. So I said nothing is going to happen. I know what is happening in my mind and my body, and nothing will happen. I go with that kind of a positive thought that nothing will happen. And that has also helped me reduce the medications on my own without asking the
Mm-hmm.
doctor. So it's just that people have to be more supportive of others who have these kind of intense stories. That's not going to be in the book, but you know, in other ways they express. I expressed it to poetry. Some people like to talk about it. Some people like to listen to others talking about it. There are ways, and you just have to make it happen.
Wow. Yeah, I think amazing, Rahul, hear you speak with such openness, vulnerability, and also relive some of those moments here with me. And I know for sure, it's been tough to do live it once, and reliving it may not have been the easiest of conversations for you. But thank you for sharing this. I very much wanted to have. The story behind the coach come through, and I feel that there's still a lot more to be had, and I leave that to all the audience to reach out to you and talk to you, understand a little more of your journey from you, and also see you as the individual that you are. One of the facets that you've battled through is with cancer and with all the other health ailments. But there's still more to Rahul. There's biking, there's poetry, there's this smile of yours. So which I think was one of the things that drew me to have you on this podcast is that genuinity and authenticity that you bring to a conversation. So amazing to have you here. And I'm sure there are many more conversations out there between me and you. But for this one, I just to say, okay, this is the end of where this episode is. So any closing words that you would like to share?
Well, Sunil, it's been a great conversation. Thank you so much for reaching out to me to uh, reaching out so we can have this podcast. I was looking forward to it, and like I said in the beginning, I immediately accepted when you reached out with this idea because I knew it was going to be a wonderful conversation and very comfortable in talking with you and sharing, the yeah, intense things which had me bogged down in life. I wouldn't say bogged down, yeah, but just those battles which I had to fight. And I didn't have any kind of inhibitions and opening up and sharing it with it. Uh, so thank you so much for this space, Sunil. And like you said, there are many more conversations coming up, and looking forward to working with you on those, and also together if we can come together and come up with a community for others who would like to feel heard and don't have that kind of mindset that what if I feel judged, what if I feel told, what if I feel asked. I'm sure that you know there'll be a space for them to feel more comfortable to express themselves more freely
Absolutely.
and have more positive have a more positive approach towards life.
Oh, absolutely. And incidentally, there's something that I'm starting next year. So the plan is to meet every Wednesday for an hour. We call it, as of now, just named it as conversations. The people are free to bring in any topic that they want to basically talk about, and they have the floor generally for an hour, or like basically like the circle meets, the circle shares. That's a safe space I'm trying to build, and it's something that's like a new idea. And yeah, let's do this together.
That's wonderful, Sunil. Wonderful to hear. And yes, I would be more than happy to do it with you.
Awesome. So this podcast, yeah, is somewhere where we put a pass to it, and then we can always come back for another conversation another time. Thank you, Rahul, once again.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you so much.